Winnie the Pooh by A. Milne. Chapter 1, in which we are introduced to Winnie the Pooh and some bees, and the stories begin. Once upon a time, a very long time ago now, about last Friday, Winnie the Pooh lived in a forest all by himself under the name of Sanders. One day, when he was out walking, he came to an open place in the middle of a forest, and in the middle of this place was a large oak tree, and from the top of the tree there came a loud buzzing noise. Winnie the Pooh sat down at the foot of the tree, put his head between his paws, and began to think. First of all, he said to himself, that buzzing noise means something. You don't get a buzzing noise like that, just buzzing and buzzing, without its meaning something. If there's a buzzing noise, somebody's making a buzzing noise. And the only reason for making a buzzing noise that I know is because you're a bee. Then he thought another long time and said, and the only reason for being a bee that I know of is making honey. And then he got up and said, and the only reason for making honey is so that I can eat it. So he began to climb the tree. He climbed and he climbed and he climbed, and as he climbed, he sang a little song to himself. It went like this. Isn't it funny how bears like honey? Buzz, buzz, buzz. I wonder why he does. Then he climbed a little further, and a little further, and then just a little further. By that time, he had thought of another song. It's a very funny thought that if bears were bees, they'd build their nests at the bottom of trees. And that being so, if bees were bears, we shouldn't have to climb up all these stairs. He was getting rather tired by this time, so that is why he sang a complaining song. He was nearly there now, and if he just stood on that branch, crack! Oh, help, said Pooh as he dropped 10 feet on the branch below him. If only I hadn't, he said as he bounced 20 feet onto the next branch. You see what I meant to do, he explained as he turned head over heels and crashed onto another branch 30 feet below. What I meant to do. Of course, it was rather, he admitted as he slithered very quickly through the next 6 branches. It all comes, I suppose, he decided as he said goodbye to the last branch, spun round 3 times and flew gracefully into the gorse bush. It all comes of liking honey so much. Oh, help! He crawled out of the gorse bush, brushed the prickles from his nose, and began to think again. And the first person he thought of was Christopher Robin. So Winnie the Pooh went round to his friend Christopher Robin, who lived behind a green door in another part of the forest. Good morning, Christopher Robin, he said. Good morning, Winnie the Pooh, said Christopher Robin. I wonder if you've got such a thing as a balloon about you. A balloon? Yes, I just said to myself coming along, I wonder if Christopher Robin has such a thing as a balloon about him. I just said it to myself, thinking of balloons and wondering. What do you want a balloon for? Christopher Robin said. Winnie the Pooh looked around to see if anybody was listening, put his paw to his mouth and said in a deep whisper, honey. But you don't get honey with balloons. I do, said Pooh. Well, it just happened that Christopher Robin had been to a party the day before at the house of their friend Piglet, and had balloons at the party. He had a great green balloon, and one of Rabbit's relations had a big blue one, and had left it behind. But being really too young to go to a party at all, Christopher Robin had brought the green one and the blue one home with him. "Which one would you like?" asked Christopher Robin asked Pooh. He put his head between his paws and thought very carefully. "It's like this," Christopher Robin said. "When you go after honey with a balloon, the great thing is to not let the bees know you're coming. Now, if you have a green balloon, they might think you're only part of the tree and not notice you. And if you have a blue balloon, they might think you're only part of the sky and not notice you. And the question is, which is most likely?" "Wouldn't they notice you under the balloon?" Christopher Robin asked. "They might or they might not," said Winnie the Pooh. "You never can tell with bees." He thought for a moment and said, "I shall try to look like a small black cloud. That will deceive them." "Then you better have the blue balloon," Christopher Robin said, and so it was decided. Well, you both went out with the blue balloon, and you took your gun with you, just in case, as you always did. And Winnie the Pooh went to a very muddy place that he knew of, and he rolled and rolled until he was black all over, and then, when the balloon was blown up as big, and Christopher Robin and Pooh were both holding onto the string, Christopher Robin let go suddenly, and Pooh Bear floated up gracefully into the sky and stayed there, level up with the top of the tree, about 20 feet away from him. "Hooray!" Christopher Robin shouted. "Isn't that fine?" shouted Winnie the Pooh down to you. "What do I look like?" "You look like a bear holding on to a balloon," Christopher Robin said. "Not," said Pooh anxiously, "not like a small black cloud in a blue sky?" "Not very much." Well, perhaps up there it looks differently. And as I say, you can never tell with bees." There was no wind to blow him nearer to the tree, so he stayed there. He could see the honey, he could smell the honey, but he couldn't quite reach the honey. And after a little while, he called down to Christopher Robin. "Christopher Robin," he said in a loud whisper. "Hello? I think the bees suspect something." "What sort of thing?" "I don't know, but something tells me that they're suspicious." "Perhaps they think that you're after their honey." "It may be that. You can never tell with bees." There was another little silence, and then he called down to Christopher Robin again. "Christopher Robin?" "Yes." "Have you an umbrella in your house?" "I think so." "I wish you would bring it out here, and walk up and down with it, and look up at me every now and then and say, 'Tut, tut, it looks like rain.' I think if you did that, it would help the deception which we are practicing on these bees." Well, Christopher Robin laughed to himself. Silly old bear. But he didn't say it out loud because he was so fond of him. And Christopher went home for his umbrella. "Oh, there you are," called down Winnie the Pooh as Christopher Robin got back to the tree. "I was beginning to get anxious. I have discovered that the bees are now definitely suspicious." "Shall I put my umbrella up?" Christopher Robin said. "Yes, but wait a moment. We must be practical. The important bee to deceive is the queen bee. Can you see which is the queen bee from down there?" "No." "A pity. Well, now if you walk up and down with your umbrella saying, 'Tut, tut, it looks like rain,' I shall do what I can by singing a little cloud song, such as a little cloud might sing." So while you walked up and down and wondered if it would rain, Winnie the Pooh sang his song. "How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue, every little cloud always sings aloud. How sweet to be a cloud floating in the blue, it makes him very proud to be a little cloud." The bees were still buzzing as suspiciously as ever. Some of them, indeed, left their nest and flew all around the cloud as it began the second verse of his song. And one bee sat down on the nose of the cloud for a moment and then got up again. "Christopher Robin, oh!" called out the cloud. "Yes? I have just been thinking, and I have come to a very important decision. These are the wrong sort of bees." "Are they?" "Quite the wrong sort. So I should think they would make the wrong sort of honey, wouldn't you?" "Would they?" "Yes, I think I shall come down now." "How?" asked Christopher Robin. Winnie the Pooh hadn't thought about this. If he had let go of the string, he would fall, bump, and he didn't like the idea of that. So he thought for a long time, and then he said, "Christopher Robin, you must shoot the balloon with your gun. Have you got your gun?" "Of course I have," said Christopher Robin. "But if I do that, it will spoil the balloon." "But if you don't," said Pooh, "I shall have to let go, and that would spoil me." When you put it like this, you saw how it was, and you aimed very carefully at the balloon and fired. "Ow!" said Pooh. "Did I miss?" Christopher Robin asked. "You didn't exactly miss," said Pooh, "but you missed the balloon." "I'm so sorry," Christopher Robin said, and fired again, and this time he hit the balloon, and the air came slowly out, and Winnie the Pooh floated down to the ground. But his arms were so stiff from holding on to the string of the balloon all that time that they stayed up in the air for more than a week, and whenever a fly came and settled on his nose, he had to blow it off. And I think, but I am not sure, that is why he was called Pooh. Thank you for listening and watching.